Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams happening in November 2024. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session plan. First things first, I'm going to take you through the P3 syllabus so that you are conversant with which syllabus elements are tested at your exam. And when conducting your preparations, you have to make sure that you cover all syllabus elements which I'm going to highlight in today's workshop concerning your P3 syllabus. If so, you won't be testing your luck at your real examination because it's of utmost importance that you gain a good understanding of which elements you need to cover when conducting your preparations. Then further, I will be moving on to a discussion of mock number 1, a question taken from mock number 1, which is focused on your P3 syllabus. And I will highlight what you need to do when it comes to developing answers concerning the chosen mock exam, which I'm going to discuss in today's workshop. And I will also conduct a Q&A session. By this time, you should be at least done with 4 mock exams, and definitely you will have questions or concerns. You can raise them during the Q&A session. And let me quickly remind you about the remaining workshop which we have scheduled for you, which is happening next Saturday at the same time, 10 a.m. UK, where I will be conducting the final workshop in which I'm going to share last minute tips with you. This final workshop is happening 2 or 3 days before your examination. So I will be sharing some tips with you to make sure that you walk into the exam with a positive mindset. All right, so let's look at syllabus elements tested at your exam concerning the P3 syllabus. So I've already shared this document with you, and I will share this document after this session as well for those who have joined the WhatsApp group recently. So I in the previous 2 workshops where I took you through questions pertaining to your E3 and F3 syllabi, I highlighted what type of elements can be tested. So concerning your E3 syllabus, strategy, evaluation, and formulation related knowledge will be tested concerning these type of different syllabus elements. Then your knowledge pertaining to board responsibilities will be tested, and corporate governance as well as ethics will be tested, which falls under your E3 syllabus. So as you can see, a high level of prominence is provided to the E3 syllabus because especially given the fact that E3 has everything to do with strategic decision making. So as a senior finance manager who is reporting directly to board members, you have to be conversant about how to conduct your decision making or how to prove your decision making capabilities to your examiner as well as to your board members. So you need to be extremely conversant with what's highlighted within your E3 syllabus. And with regards to F3, this is the weightage provided for F3 is less because F3 has a lot of calculations and whatnot if you look at the OTQ syllabus. But at this stage, at the SCS stage, it's just a matter of utilizing your finance knowledge when developing your answers, especially concerning evaluations, whenever you are supposed to conduct evaluations, as well as whenever you are supposed to provide recommendations. You have to utilize your knowledge which you have gained via the F3 syllabus. So let's look at the P3 syllabus. So when thinking about the P3 syllabus, first things first, risk identification and mitigation comes into play. As a senior finance manager who is reporting directly to board members of your chosen company, you need to have the capability to identify risks and at the same time suggest mitigatory action which the intention of or which enables the board to overcome each type of risk in a foolproof manner. So with that in mind, we have included these elements within our mock exams. We have developed scenarios concerning cybersecurity risks, social engineering or phishing risks, then data security and privacy, reputational risks, as well as economic risks. So these are generic risk elements which can be tested at your exam. So you have to be conversant about how to identify risks concerning what's highlighted within the scenario. And on top of that, after identifying these risks, concerning the impact of a certain risk as well as the probability of recurrence, then you need to suggest appropriate mitigatory action, which will help the board actually manage these risks in the future in a successful manner. So these are the generic type of risks which we have included within our mock exams. Additionally, we have also included scenarios which are totally aligned with what appears within your risk report. As you already know, Rotomyne's risk report highlight 6 different risks, which are price risks, resource constraint risk, regulation risk, currency risk, political risk, and the risk created by operational elements, as well as risks created by accidents. So these 6 different risks are highlighted within your pre-seen document, highlighted within your risk report. Because of that, definitely these elements will be tested at your examination, because usually when testing your knowledge pertaining to risk identification and mitigation, definitely the examiner will focus the attention towards what appears within one of the risks which appear within the risk report. And on top of that, in addition to that, a general risk will be tested. So we have included all the risks which appear within your risk report, and on top of that we have come up with a certain set of generic risks. And if you go through our 6 mock exams, you will gain an in-depth understanding about what you need to do to identify each type of risk concerning what's highlighted within the scenario. And after identifying, you are supposed to come up with appropriate mitigatory action. So you'd gain a good understanding of what you need to cover when coming up with or when suggesting or recommending appropriate mitigatory action. So on top of all these things, you need to always, when evaluating each type of risk, especially concerning the risks which appear within our risk report, let's assume you are supposed to develop mitigatory strategies concerning one of these risks. When developing your answer, you need to make sure that you mention right at the beginning of your answer, that you mention what appears within the risk report as part of mitigatory action. So if you had gone through the annotated pre-scene, we have provided an evaluation concerning each type of risk within the pre-scene document itself. And when conducting this evaluation, we have highlighted the present mitigatory action adopted by the company. And we have also carried out an evaluation, thereby assessing whether the present mitigatory action is appropriate or not. And if there are any shortcomings in the present mitigatory action adopted by the board, then I've also highlighted enhancements as part of these evaluations which appear within the annotated pre-scene. So if you had gone through the annotated pre-scene and the pre-scene analysis videos, you know what I'm talking about. So when developing answers, especially concerning the risks which appear within the risk report, you have to make sure to start your answer by explaining what type of mitigatory action the company has adopted as at now. Then you need to say whether this mitigatory action is aligned with the requirements, and if this mitigatory action carries certain problems, or whether or if this mitigatory action can be enhanced, then you need to come up with your own type of recommendations with the intention of enhancing the risk mitigatory action adopted by the company. And at the same time, when suggesting mitigatory action, you need to consider what's highlighted within your scenario. So if you go through the 6 mock exams, you will gain an in-depth understanding of how to do this, how to approach answers or questions rather concerning different type of risks the company is exposed to. And on top of that, as you know, there is a shortcoming within the risk report, because there's no mention about data security or privacy or cyber security risks, or simply put, there is no mention about IT or IS related risk mitigation, because the company has not identified IT or IS risks as a major risk of the company, which is a major shortcoming, especially given the fact that towards the end of your pre-scene, as part of the newspaper articles, it is clearly mentioned that the ICS used by a type of a system which is utilized to network different types of machines used within processing plants. The ICS carries security vulnerabilities. So the examiner is actually providing you a hint about a type of a scenario or a question which can be tested at your exam. So because of that, we have also made sure to cover data security, data security and privacy, as well as cyber security risks, because these shortcomings are there when you look at the risk report. So if you go through the 6 mocks, you'd know how to tackle each type of element. And also, concerning each type of risk highlighted within our mocks, you need to understand what you need to do to update the risk register. And within several subtasks which appear within our mock exams, we have highlighted how to tackle these type of questions, what you need to do when it comes to updating the risk register. So again, if you attempt the 6 mock exams or gain access to the 6 mock exams, you will gain an in-depth understanding of how to approach these type of questions. So there's a certain methodology which you need to adhere to when updating the risk register. So go through our mocks to gain an understanding of how to tackle these type of questions. And on top of that, as part of your P3 syllabus, internal audit responsibilities will definitely be tested. So when recommending what the internal audit department should carry out when assisting the internal control environment, or when determining the internal control environment of the organization, you need to again consider what's highlighted within each scenario and make sure that you highlight internal audit responsibilities which are totally aligned with what appears within your scenario and what your requirement is. So we have developed certain questions which tests your understanding about internal audit responsibilities, primarily focused on what the internal audit department should do when conducting acquisition negotiations, and what the internal audit responsibilities are when conducting internal audits, as well as when conducting compliance testing. So if you go through the mock exams, you'd gain a better understanding of internal audit responsibilities and what type of answers you need to develop concerning internal audit responsibilities. And you have to also be conversant about internal controls, the internal control environment of your chosen company. So we have developed questions and scenarios which tests your understanding about the ability of the company to prevent data breaches, because as I mentioned earlier, this is a major shortcoming if you look at the risk report, because we are totally clueless about what to do if we are faced with a data breach, or if you are faced with a cybersecurity risk. So because of that, I've developed a question which tests your understanding about what the internal audit department, as well as the individuals who are involved with risk identification and mitigation processes, should do with the intention of preventing data breaches. And we have also developed a set of questions concerning different types of internal issues faced by the company when conducting its daily affairs, and focused on these internal issues. You are expected to suggest controls with the intention of preventing these issues from occurring in the future. So again, when suggesting internal controls, you need to consider what's highlighted within your scenario. You cannot memorize the answers. Instead, you need to make sure that the internal controls which we have suggested are totally aligned with with what appears within the information which appears within each scenario. So these are the elements which will be tested under your P3 syllabus. So if you go through the 6 mock exams, you will gain a good understanding of how each element is tested at your exam, and what type of answers you need to develop, how to structure your answers to gain the most amount of marks. All right, so having said that, before we move on to the mock exam discussion, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. I'm on the SCS page. If you click on this button, you'd gain access to our student dashboard, via which you can gain access to our free content. So once you have access to the student dashboard, click on my courses, and in front of SCS free, you'd see a button which reads as access content. Click on it. Then you'd gain access to the recordings of all webinars and workshops which we have conducted so far. And you'd also gain access to free study material. You'd gain access to the answer plan of the free mock exam. Then you'd gain access to the free mock exam, the question, as well as the answers. And on top of that, you have the opportunity of attempting the free mock exam, mock number 1, under exam conditions via our exam platform. So simply go to the exams tab and click on mock 1 to start your examination, where you can test your knowledge, test your answering and time management techniques, and at the same time you'd be exposed to exam stress. It's best that you are exposed to exam stress when conducting your preparations rather than at your real examination. All right, so that's what you'd gain access to via the free content. And if you are interested in investing on our paid content, click on this button and check the sample material before you purchase. And if you are yet to join our SCS WhatsApp discussion forum, click on this button and join it via this group. I will be addressing all your questions and concerns, and at the same time you can engage in group learning. And I will also be sharing hordes of free resources via this WhatsApp group, especially closer to the examination. So make sure to join the WhatsApp group by clicking on this button. And talking about what we offer 2 main packages, the value pack and the premium pack. So the value pack is designed for those who had completed their CIMA OTQ examinations or objective test questions. So since you have already completed your E3, P3 and F3 OTQs, you have championed theory, you already know theory, you simply need to work on your application skills. So under the value pack, you'd gain access to the recordings of all webinars and workshops. You'd also gain access to 6 mock exams with suggested answers. And when developing these 6 mock exams, we have made sure to cover the entire syllabus to ensure that you are not testing your luck at your examination. Instead, you are totally conversant with how each syllabus element can be tested at your real examination. And you'd also gain access to pre-scene analysis videos, 3 videos in total, where I've explained the nitty-gritties which appear within your pre-scene document. So you need not conduct your own research concerning the pre-scene document. We have done it for you. And you'd also gain access to industry and financial analysis slides on top of an annotated pre-scene. So let me quickly show you what I'm talking about. So these are material which we prepared for the previous case study sitting. So on top of what appears, on top of the information which appears within your pre-scene document, we have come up with our own annotations with the intention of summarizing pre-scene information and at the same time, highlighting probable exam scenarios which can be tested at the exam based on the hints provided by the CIMA examiner. And on top of that, we have also highlighted probable syllabus elements which can be tested based on the scenarios which can be tested at your examination. So once you gain access to the annotated pre-scene, you are gaining access to a good summary of the entire pre-scene, which makes your life easy when it comes to understanding the content which appears within your pre-scene. And on top of that, we have also highlighted probable scenarios which can be tested along with related syllabus elements which can be tested at your real exam. And talking about the financial analysis slides, at the very end of your pre-scene, you would have seen the financial statements of your chosen company and its closest competitor. So we have evaluated each financial statement. And on top of that, we have also conducted a ratio analysis and we have evaluated each ratio considering Rotomyne's situation as well as Lithdig's Rotomyne's closest competitors' financial performance, so that you stand a chance to gain an in-depth understanding about the financial standing of your company against the industry. And talking about the industry analysis slides, it consists of 4 main elements. In the first part, when providing an overview to your industry, we have defined your industry so that you gain a good understanding of what your industry is all about. Then we have also highlighted the competitive landscape and industry trends, because based on these information, scenarios can be thrown at you at your real examination. And at the very end, considering 2 real-life companies, we have shared examples with you so that you gain a better understanding of how real-life companies operate within your chosen industry. So these are the type of resources you'd gain access to under the value pack. You'd also gain access to top 20 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested at the exam. You'd also gain access to a case study familiarization kit. Once you have read through this kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you can gain an in-depth understanding of the technicalities behind your SCS exam. You'd also gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So as I mentioned earlier, the value pack is designed for those who had already learned theory. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you didn't do really well concerning a certain syllabus element or theoretical element covered within the mock exam, simply refer to our OTQ revision cards in a jiffy. You are in a position to brush up your knowledge concerning the theoretical element which was highlighted within one of our mock exams. So you need not refer back to your old notes, your study texts and whatnot. You can't waste a lot of time because the exam is just around the corner. So the best way to conduct your revision or brush up your knowledge concerning your syllabus elements is to refer to our revision cards. So the value pack is priced at £299. And talking about the premium pack is designed for those who are coming through the exemption route as well as those who had failed the SCS exam previously. Both students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge as well as issues with application. So we have developed an additional set of resources with the intention of teaching you theory and helping you overcome your application skills. So on top of what appears within value pack, you'd also gain access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt all 6 mock exams under exam conditions, which paves way for you to master your answering, time management and stress management techniques. And at the same time, it's best that you are attempting each mock exam under exam conditions in a similar exam platform, because we have developed an exam platform which is akin to the Pearson VUE system on which you attempt your real examination. It's best that you attempt each mock exam under exam conditions, because if so, you are in a position to understand your shortcomings. So when conducting your preparations, if you understand your shortcomings, you can work towards overcoming your shortcomings when conducting your revision. You'd also gain access to tutor feedback on the last 3 mock exams, mocks 4, 5, and 6. So those who have already completed up until mocks 4 or 5 know what I'm talking about. So let me quickly show you the type of feedback which we offer at TCS. As you can see, each and every point, each and every paragraph has been evaluated in depth with the intention of ensuring that you understand your shortcomings. Because as I mentioned earlier, if you don't understand your shortcomings, you can't come up with action to overcome these shortcomings. So the objective of seeking tutor feedback should be to understand your shortcomings, which will help you significantly improve the quality of your answers. So throughout this answer script, you can see the type of feedback which we have provided. And at the very end, we've provided mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. We have also indicated a success rate. So by looking at the success rate, you can understand the subtasks in which you have done a good job and the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. So the substandard subtasks are highlighted in yellow. So after receiving tutor feedback, with the intention of overcoming your issues, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans focused on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. This is the best way to conduct your revision, especially given the fact that you don't have too much time. So the best way to conduct your revision is to solely focus on improving your shortcomings. So with that in mind, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans, redevelop your answer structures, replan your answers, because that's the best way to overcome your issues and improve the quality of your answers. And at the very end, we provide general comments as well. So that's a type of feedback you'd receive if you opt for the premium pack. And you'd also gain access to answer plans of all 6 mock exams. So usually you'd gain access to just the mock exams and suggested answers. However, we have gone a step further. We are sharing answer plans with you, which makes your life easy when it comes to understanding how to structure your answers, because this is a good summary of the entire suggested answer. So rather than having to go through pages and pages of suggested answers and try to rather than trying to understand how to structure your answers, we have done it for you. So when it comes to redeveloping answer plans, you are supposed to simply compare your fresh answer plans to the answer plans which we have provided to further understand how to enhance the quality of your answers. So in a little while, you will see what an answer plan looks like, because based on the answer plan which we have developed for mock number 1, I'm going to discuss the question concerning your P3 syllabus. And you'd also gain access to 15 master classes. So from mocks 2 to 6, we have developed 15 master classes focused on each section or task which appears within our paid mock exams. So the objective of developing these master classes is to make sure that you learn theory and improve your application. So after attempting each mock exam, you are supposed to watch the relevant master classes. Then you will learn the theoretical elements covered within the mock exam. Then you will learn how to what you need to get right with regards to improving your application skills. And once you have learned your theory and application, you are supposed to test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans on your own. Once you have redeveloped answer plans, once you have tested your knowledge, once you have understood whether you have gained something by watching the master classes, you are supposed to compare your fresh answer plans to the answer plans provided by TCS to further enhance the quality of your answers. So once you have access to all these type of support, you will pass for sure, hence the pass guarantee. So if you invest on the premium pack and end up failing, you will gain access to premium content in your subsequent sitting free of charge. However, in order to claim the pass guarantee, you have to complete these 3 requirements. You have to complete all mock exams, all 6 of them. If not, you won't be conversant about how each syllabus element is tested at your exam. And when attempting each mock exam, do not go through the answers. Do not go through the suggested answers, the answer plans, or the master classes, because the objective of you attempting mock exams is to master your answering, time management, and stress management techniques, and at the same time to understand your shortcomings. So if you go through the answers before attempting the mock, you are fooling yourself. You are actually cheating yourself, and this will not help you at your real exam, because you need to really understand what your shortcomings are when conducting preparation. If so, you can take steps to overcome these shortcomings. And you have to meet the performance criteria for the last 3 mock exams, where you need to score 40% or higher. Why have we come up with this performance criteria? To make sure that you do a serious job when attempting the last 3 mock exams, especially given the fact that you are receiving tutor feedback. So it's best that you are honest to yourself, especially when attempting the last 3 mock exams, because after receiving tutor feedback, you will know what your shortcomings are. And then when conducting your revision, after watching the master classes and redeveloping answer plans, you are supposed to take steps to overcome your shortcomings. So once you have completed all these requirements, you will pass for sure. That's why the premium pack comes with a pass guarantee. So the price of the premium pack is £899, which can be paid in 2 monthly installments of £449 each, or if you opt to pay in full, you can save £100. If so, the price is just £799. You can click on either of these buttons and invest on your preferred package. And all products are available until the 28th of February 2025. So if you're planning on sitting for your SCS exam in Feb, you can invest on your preferred package and start preparations right now, so that you'd have ample time to conduct your preparations. And let's have a look at the SCS study plan. As per the study plan, we are in week number 7. So within this week, you are supposed to attempt mock number 6, the final mock exam. So, this says mock number 5 because we have considered the first mock exam, mock number 1, as the free mock exam. On top of that, we have come up with 5 additional mocks. So within this week, you are supposed to attempt mock number 6 via our exam platform. And after doing so, you are supposed to watch the master classes. As I mentioned earlier, this is when you will learn theory and understand how to work on your application skills, understand how to appropriately structure the answer. Once you have learned your theory and application, you are supposed to test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans. And once you have received tutor feedback, you are supposed to again redevelop answer plans focused on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. Then compare your fresh answer plans to the answer plans which we have provided to further enhance your understanding of how to improve the quality of your answers. And if you do so, you just need to allocate 9 hours of study time. However, if you are adhering to our 3-week study plan, which was shared 2 weeks back, then within this week, if I'm not mistaken, you are supposed to attempt 2 mock exams. So please stick to your relevant study plan and keep fighting, keep pushing forward, because if you complete all 6 mock exams and conduct your revision focused on these 6 mock exams, you can pass for sure. All right. So having said that, let's move on to the discussion of the mock exam concerning your P3 syllabus. So I'm going to take you through one of the questions which appear within mock number 1. So I'm going to take you to section 2 or task number 2. In section number 1, the scenario, so the section 2 and section 3, which appears within mock number 1, is actually aligned with the scenario which was shared with you via task number 1. That's exactly what you would see at your real examination. There will be a certain theme throughout your mock exam. There's no hard and fast rule which says that all subtasks will be aligned with the same theme. Some subtasks will test different elements. However, usually you would see a majority of subtasks will adhere to a certain theme. So the theme which I've considered within this mock exam is a situation where we have invented something where we via our research facility we have found out something called an eco extraction method, a new technology that optimizes lithium extraction using advanced data analytics, AI, and sustainable practices. So this is a sustainable way in which we can extract lithium or we can mine lithium. So this is something new, a new technology which we have identified. So let's look at what appears within section number 2. 4 months have passed since the launch of the eco extraction technology, and the client feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. The CFO stops at your workstation. So we have been we have successfully launched this new technology, which is known as eco extraction. Please go through this document, which is an excerpt of board meeting minutes. I need your advice on the following matters. All right, so let's look at what appears within the reference material, which is taken from board meeting minutes. During a recent strategic meeting, our production director briefed the board on the successful rollout of their proprietary eco extraction technology. Interest in eco extraction has surged among industry competitors. So, we have been successful because of that. Competitors, our own competitors within the mining sector are interested to invest on this technology. Interest in eco extraction has surged among industry competitors, with several inquiring about acquiring the rights to use Rotomyne's breakthrough technology under a licensing agreement to enhance their own environmentally sustainable extraction methods. So as I mentioned earlier, the competitors are interested to purchase this technology from us or acquire the rights to use this technology with the intention of enhancing the mining activities which they conduct within their own companies. The board is aware of the risks involved in sharing such proprietary technology and is carefully evaluating these licensing opportunities. Concerns center on the potential for intellectual property risks and the competitive advantages eco extraction provides to Rotomyne. So since we have launched a successful extraction method which has changed market dynamics, this leads to competitive advantage, especially given the fact that the clients are happy due to the fact that we have introduced a new technology. So in such an environment, if we go to license this proprietary technology and share this technology with our competitors, this will this might expose us to the risk of theft of intellectual property, which is highlighted by some of our board members. Our production director assured the board that to protect Rotomyne's market lead and innovation, the company is considering establishing patent protection via a third-party escrow and technology licensing agreements to securely manage the proprietary elements of the eco-extraction technology. In addition, stringent NDAs or non-disclosure agreements would be implemented to safeguard intellectual property. So the production director says, okay, we have to go for an escrow arrangement. I explained what an escrow arrangement is in our previous workshop. So if you missed out on it, please go watch it, in which I've taken you through your F3 syllabus, as well as a question concerning financing options, which appear within your F3 syllabus. So the production director is saying that we should go for an escrow arrangement with the intention of protecting our proprietary technology. And on top of that, we should sign stringent non-disclosure agreements. These measures would ensure that Rotomyne remains control over its groundbreaking extraction technology while exploring potential revenue streams through licensing agreements with interested parties. So at the moment, we are generating money by conducting mining operations. However, by going for this licensing, going ahead with this licensing agreements, we are in a position to generate additional revenues, which is a new flow of income for us. All right, so that's what's highlighted within the reference material. Let's look at your requirement. I'm going to direct your attention towards the second subtask. Recommend the activities that Rotomyne's internal audit department should perform to ensure the protection of the proprietary technology and intellectual property related to eco-extraction process. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, when I was taking you through your P3 syllabus, I said that internal audit responsibilities will be tested. So this is one such question which tests your understanding about internal audit responsibilities. So what is the requirement? You are supposed to recommend the different types of activities that Rotomyne's internal audit department should perform to ensure the protection of proprietary technology and intellectual property related to eco-extraction process. So this requirement is quite long. So because of that, before you develop the answer plan, as per the answering techniques which I've highlighted in the third webinar, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to reiterate the requirement in your own words in a concise manner. So let's look at how we are supposed to do it. So I'm directing your attention towards the answer plan, which we have developed for mock number 1. And based, as I mentioned earlier, based on this answer plan, I'm going to explain the logic behind the answer which I've developed for the subtask which we discussed right now. So let's look at how we are supposed to reiterate the requirement in your own words in a concise manner. Internal audit responsibilities, how to secure the intellectual property. So this requirement is quite long, but it makes your life easy when you simplify it, because when you are under exam stress, when you try to read through this, you won't gain a good understanding of what the requirement is. And on top of that, whilst developing the answer, you'd have to refer back to an extended requirement, which exposes you to further complexities. So rather than complicating your life, the best way to gain a good understanding of the requirement is to reiterate it in your own words in a concise manner. And whilst developing the answer plan, or whilst planning out your answer, you can always refer back to the simplified requirement and see whether you are developing an answer which is totally aligned with the requirement. So internal audit responsibilities, how to secure intellectual property. And again, as per what I've highlighted in the third webinar, you are supposed to determine how many points should appear within each subtask within the answer plan developed for each subtask. So you are supposed to determine the points based on mark allocations. So the mark allocations should be considered or calculated based on the weightage provided. So the weightage provided is 50%. Based on that, 25 marks is allocated. So the total mark allocation for each task is 50. 50% of 50 marks is 25 marks. So in order to gain 25 marks, since each valid point carries 2 or 3 marks, you need to come up with something like 9 to 12 valid points within your answer. All right, so let's look at how you should structure your answer. So I'm directing your attention towards the answer plan, which I've developed for section 2, subtask B. So I've come up with a main heading, which goes as internal audit, which is in bold and underlined format. So first things first, our internal audit department should conduct a risk assessment to check various different things. Then our internal audit department should review and verify the effectiveness of licensing and escrow arrangements, because as per what's highlighted within the scenario, our production director is saying that in order to safeguard our intellectual property, we need to go for an escrow arrangement. So before we sign these agreements with the escrow services provider, we need to understand whether the chosen company is capable of safeguarding our intellectual property. So this is done with the intention of avoiding unnecessary risks, because if we sign this agreement with a chosen escrow services provider, and if the escrow services provider cannot do their job properly, then our intellectual will be exposed to property theft, intellectual property theft, which exposes us to a plethora of risks, operational and reputational risks. So in order to avoid all these unnecessary risks, our internal audit department should review and verify the effectiveness of the services provided by via the escrow arrangement. Then on top of that, the production director also mentions about signing robust non-disclosure agreements. So we have to, before we proceed to sign NDAs with chosen parties with whom we intend to share our proprietary technology, we have to make sure that we review the content of the NDAs. We need to come up with foolproof NDAs which are intended to safeguard our interests. So with that in mind, the internal audit department should review the NDAs. And on top of that, we have to also, our internal audit department should also evaluate our own internal controls pertaining to who has access to this technology within Rotomyne. So we should not, when sharing this type of proprietary technology, we should not only look at external parties. We need to look at our internal employees, the type of individuals who are involved with this new technology, to ensure that internally we safeguard this proprietary information or proprietary technology rather. And on top of that, our internal audit department should develop an ongoing monitoring plan to see whether these controls are working or not in the future. So these are the main elements which you should cover. And as you have understood by now, when suggesting these elements, I've considered what's highlighted within your scenario. So when developing answers pertaining to your P3 syllabus, you cannot memorize answers. You cannot, stick to a certain methodology when developing answers. Instead, you need to utilize the knowledge which you have gained via your P3 syllabus and implement this knowledge considering the information presented in your scenario. So that's exactly what I've done here. So let's look at what type of risk assessments our internal audit department should carry out. So first things first, they should check the effectiveness of our current intellectual property management processes. We need to see whether we have robust intellectual property safeguards within our company. We need to see, our internal audit department should check whether our intellectual property is properly documented, whether these files, whether these documents are appropriately filed and protected, because everybody within the company should not have access to these set of files. Instead, only responsible individuals who are dealing with intellectual property should have access to these IP documents. And on top of that, the internal audit department should also check whether we are regularly updating our patents. So if we have access to, if we have developed our own set of intellectual property, we have to patent them, which is one way in which we can safeguard our intellectual property. If someone uses it without our knowledge, then we can sue them if we have patents. So we have to check whether we have updated our patents, or we are taking steps to constantly update our patents as and when necessary. So first things first, the internal audit department should check the effectiveness of our current intellectual property management initiatives carried out within Rotomyne. And on top of that, before sharing this technology or knowledge with our competitors, our internal audit department should check whether industry players had already gained access to similar intellectual property, and whether these players had violated intellectual property previously. So let's assume I'm just saying this doesn't appear within your pre-scene. I'm just using an example. Let's assume Lithdig has had access to intellectual property generated by another party via a licensing agreement, and halfway through the agreement, Lithdig has violated the intellectual property. So if that is the case, there's precedence which highlights the fact that Lithdig is not sticking to the controls imposed on them when it has access to intellectual property. So in such an environment, we should not share our technology with a party such as Lithdig when we know for a fact that they had breached intellectual property or contracts previously. So we have to check before sharing our technology. Let's assume 3 different competitors has approached us with the intention of going ahead with licensing agreements, which ensures that they have access to our proprietary technology. So before sharing our technology with them, we need to check, our internal audit department should check whether any of them had violated intellectual property previously. So with that in mind, our internal audit department should evaluate IP violations or any of the players were part and parcel of cybersecurity issues. Because even if a party who uses our proprietary technology fulfills intellectual property related needs, if they were exposed to a cybersecurity issue, then it indicates that their cybersecurity or data security processes are not robust. If so, a third party will gain access to our proprietary technology. So with that in mind, we have to make sure that we keep tabs on industry players, especially those who are interested in going ahead with this licensing agreement. And on top of that, we have to also consider insider risks, especially concerning our research and development staff who are working within the research arm of our business, because we need to make sure that we are not exposed to insider risks, and any of the staff members who are working within the research facility will not leak out proprietary information to third parties. And also, the internal audit department should check the potential vulnerabilities and threats of licensing before we decide whether we should go ahead with these licensing agreements. And focused on each of these vulnerabilities and threats, the internal audit department should develop mitigatory strategies. And when developing mitigatory strategies, you need to identify, or the internal audit department should identify, the impact of each risk and the probability of each risk materializing. All right, so these are the different types of checks the internal audit department should conduct before we take the decision to proceed with these licensing agreements. Then on top of that, before we proceed with the licensing agreement, we have to review and verify the effectiveness of licensing and escrow arrangements. So we have to conduct credibility checks focused on the escrow services provider to make sure that this escrow services provider has the capability to actually safeguard our intellectual property. If not, we should not sign agreements or make use of services offered by such an escrow services provider. And on top of that, we need to see whether there is an alignment between the escrow arrangements terms against our security objectives. So we have to, when determining the escrow arrangements terms, we need to see whether these terms are aligned with our own security objectives. If not, we should not sign escrow arrangements, or we should not select an escrow arrangement services provider which offering terms which goes against our security objectives. And on top of that, our internal audit department should also check the definitions and enforceability pertaining to escrow contracts. And on top of that, they should also consider intellectual property release conditions. They have to read through the conditions and see what type of issues we might have to face when sharing our intellectual property with third parties. So if we encounter any issues, our internal audit department should come up with steps to mitigate these issues, and these type of mitigatory actions should be inculcated within a fresh contract which we sign with an escrow services provider. And on top of that, the internal audit department should review the non-disclosure agreements as well. So they need to check the structure the content and enforcement capabilities when conducting these reviews. And these reviews should cover confidentiality, unauthorized usage. So if somebody gains access to this proprietary technology in an unauthorized manner, what type of action are we supposed to take? All these things should appear within the non-disclosure agreement. Then penalties for breaches should appear within the non-disclosure agreement, because the non-disclosure agreement is a contract between us and the third parties who are opting for licensing agreements, who want to utilize our proprietary technologies. So because of that, we have to indicate within the non-disclosure agreements what we are going to do if we are exposed to unauthorized usage, and if we encounter any breaches, what type of penalties we are going to impose on these third parties. And we have to also make sure that we include information about the processes needed to monitor compliance, because we need to define within the non-disclosure agreements as to how our internal audit department intends to conduct checks on a regular basis to ensure that the third party which is using our proprietary technology is complying to what appears, complying to the controls which appear within the non-disclosure agreement. Just because you sign a non-disclosure agreement, our internal audit department can't simply walk into one of our licensed partners' premises and carry out a compliance audit. Instead, within the NDA itself, we have to mention when, how often, and how we are trying to conduct compliance audits, because if we are clear about all these things, we won't face any issues in the future. And on top of that, it's best that we evaluate the credibility or the robustness of our internal controls, especially concerning those who have access to this proprietary technology within Rotomyne. So we need to check access rights management concerning IT and IS, as well as those who have access to this proprietary technology within our R&D department. Why IT and IS, information technology or information systems, should be tested, given the fact that this new technology uses artificial intelligence and a lot of software. So in such an environment, we have to check the access rights pertaining to IT and IS resources. Then the change controls should be tested or checked. So the internal audit department has to see who has the responsibility or the authority to implement changes. If you are changing the intellectual property, if you are enhancing the capabilities of the intellectual property, who has access to or who has authority to make these changes? All these things should be documented appropriately. If not, anybody can gain access to this intellectual property and take steps to amend it or change it. So with the intention of preventing these type of issues, change controls should be implemented. And we should also focus on data encryption and multi-factor authentication with the intention of preventing unauthorized third parties from gaining access to our proprietary technology. So these are the type of internal controls which should be evaluated by our internal audit department. And on top of that, they should also develop an ongoing monitoring plan, thereby developing plans which clearly highlight what type of audits and how often these audits are going to take place post licensing, if we go ahead with these licensing agreements, after we sign these licensing agreements, what type of audits our internal audit department is supposed to carry out on a continuous basis. And these type of audits should be focused on the escrow arrangements, and audits should be compliance audits should be carried out concerning those who had signed the non-disclosure agreements to see whether they comply with the NDAs, as well as we have to check whether those who are using our technology are adhering to the licensing agreements. And on top of that, as part of the ongoing monitoring plan, we have to come up with training plans as well, which should be, these training initiatives should be planned with the intention of safeguarding our intellectual property. So we have to, train both our internal employees who are dealing with this new technology, as well as those who had opted for licensing agreements, And on top of that, we have to, within these training sessions, we have to highlight the importance of protecting intellectual property so that everybody is, who has access to intellectual property know how important it is to protect this proprietary technology. And we should also highlight the legal ramifications if someone violates these terms. All right, so that's what our internal audit department should do. So first things first, conduct risk assessments, then review and verify the effectiveness of the licensing and escrow management services, then review the NDAs, evaluate our own internal controls, and develop an ongoing monitoring plan to see whether all stakeholders are complying to the controls which we have implemented with the intention of safeguarding our intellectual property. All right, so I've considered what's highlighted within the scenario when structuring or developing this answer. So you are supposed to adhere to a similar approach when tackling a question pertaining to internal audit responsibilities. All right, so that's that. And, I hope you'd achieve a similar feat compared to what our students achieved in August 2024. We achieved a 97% pass rate for the SCS exam, and those who stuck to our study plan and attempted all 6 mock exams and conducted revision focused on these 6 mock exams were easily able to pass the SCS exam. When the pass mark was 80, most students gained more than 100 marks simply by sticking to our study plan and conducting revision focused on the 6 mocks. So you just have something like 9 to 10 days until your examination, so you don't have time to waste. Forget about going through your study notes, your study texts and whatnot. There's absolutely no point of trying to memorize theory, because as you know, right, as you saw right now, when tackling most questions concerning your SCS examination, it is not about replicating theory. You can, replicate theory and pass the operational case study exam, because 85% of your questions are testing your theoretical knowledge. But in here, 80% of the questions are testing your application skills. So however much conversant you are with theory, you cannot pass this exam. Instead, you need to significantly improve your application skills. So that's exactly why there's absolutely no point of trying to memorize theories. Instead, focus your attention towards attempting mock exams, conduct your revision focused on the same mock exams. If so, you'd be successful at your real examination. All right, so having said that, we are moving to the Q&A session. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can switch on your mic and talk, or drop us a message via the chat. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks, so thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything, and I hope you'd stick to our study plan, be it the 8-week study plan or the 3-week study plan, and conduct your preparations, because as per any study plan, you have to, conduct your revision towards the very end of your examination. So within this week, you have to complete all your preparations so that you can simply relax closer to the exam, thereby solely focusing on your revision rather than trying to attempt mock exams, redevelop answer plans and whatnot. All right, so if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Visit our website and click on the contact button, and then you can drop your message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you within office hours via email, or you can simply email us at info@study@tcs.com or WhatsApp us on this number. I invite you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of our webinars and workshops are uploaded to our YouTube handle. And on top of that, via TikTok, you'd gain access to a set of videos, which is a good mind map of the entire pre-scene. So, on your way to office in the upcoming days, keep watching this set of TikTok videos so that you are constantly reminding yourself about what appears within your pre-scene document. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the 3rd workshop conducted in lieu of the upcoming SCS exam. And I hope you will, do what's necessary to complete all 6 mock exams by the end of this week, because as I mentioned earlier, towards the end of your examination, you should start relaxing, because if you are well rested both physically and mentally, then chances of you passing the SCS exam becomes extremely high. So I hope you'd adhere to our study plans. Keep fighting, folks. I know it's not easy, especially closer to an exam. You'd be exposed to extreme levels of stress. However, I've also explained what you can do when you are exposed to stress. Do the breathing exercises, keep fighting. And if you have any questions or concerns, always feel free to drop us a message. We are always there to help you out. So thank you very much for joining. I'll see you guys next week at 10 a.m. UK. Thank you and take care.